I'm here to talk to you about something that often goes unnoticed. That is what it's like to be different because of this, a disability. Although you may not know, I have a disability that I have since overcome. I look perfectly average, and oftentimes people do. Anyone can have a disability without it being visible. Actually, according to the World Bank, about 1 billion people in the world experience some form of a disability. That adds up to be an estimated 15% of the entire world's population. And these people, on average, experience adverse socioeconomic conditions in comparison to those without a disability. Naturally, why would anyone feel comfortable being different? Well, to me, disabilities can be compared to toys. They come in many different shapes and sizes, meaning they come with many different forms and different severities. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary states that a disability can be physical, mental, cognitive, or developmental. It interferes with, impacts, and limits a person's abilities to partake in typical daily activities and interactions. But the one thing that all of these different disabilities have in common is the negative feelings that come with these differences. While many members of our society let disabilities define us, others pretend they don't even exist. We say things like, "Do you know that girl with Down syndrome?" Or, "Did you know he has autism?" But why do we allow this to define who we are as a person? Why do we allow something that nearly no one can help define who we are as human beings? Now, you're probably wondering why I'm talking to you about disabilities. Well, like I mentioned, I had one myself. While my disability was smaller in comparison to greater life challenges people face, it was still real and very relevant in my everyday life. In elementary school, I was diagnosed with a learning disability, being that I struggled greatly with reading comprehension. I was one of a few students who was constantly called out of my classroom to gain additional help from professionals. But let me tell you, I wasn't cool because of this. I would then be brought back to my classroom, and I could hear my peers snickering about me, sometimes even approaching me to ask where I had been. Now, the scary thing is, even I didn't know. I had no idea what was happening. I was too naive to understand my own situation at this age. But as I entered middle school, I felt more included among my peers because there were many more kids just like me. I had extra time to take tests. I went to school early every day to work with my teachers, and I often stayed after school much longer than any average student. Now, I talk about all of this in past tense because I was able to gain the ability to learn how to advocate for myself, with some guidance, of course. But don't get me wrong, I still struggle at times. When it came time to apply to colleges, I doubted my abilities so much that I was really only applying to safety schools. I applied to Bryant on a whim, and I can still remember the tears that I shed on this day when I decided that Bryant would be my next greatest journey. Now, I talk about this because I didn't have the grades, the GPA, or even the test scores to prove that I was worthy. But the one thing that I did have was the pure drive and passion to succeed. And after finding this passion in myself, I wanted to give back to that very community in which I came from. In my first 2 years here, I struggled greatly, trying to figure out how to do it all on my own. I wasn't that student who was always on the dean's list, but I can assure you I dedicated just as much time to my studies as those students did, if not even more. This is me on my high school graduation day. If over 4 years ago, on this day, you told me that I would be standing on this stage today, publicly speaking about my story, I absolutely would have said, "Yeah, right," because I was and still am very good at hiding these struggles. But in my junior year, and now as a senior, I have finally figured out the right technique that works for me. But don't get me wrong, I still struggle at times. Now, like many, as an underclassman, I was looking for ways to get involved on campus, to spend my ways and times in ways that aligned with my values. I came across an application to work with Special Olympics Rhode Island. I was hoping that this was my opportunity to give back. So I applied and interviewed and was later selected for the position and was beyond ecstatic to get started. I have now served on this committee for 4 years with about 30 other individuals who share the exact same passion as I do. And needless to say, I have found my people. We all work together to event plan for a day of athletic games that has been hosted on our campus for now 40 years. However, this didn't feel like quite enough for me. Throughout my life, I've had many liaisons who have guided me to be a successful individual and have truly pushed me beyond what I thought were my limits. I wanted to be just that for others because I have seen firsthand the impact that you can leave on an individual. Through my work with Special Olympics Rhode Island and in my time at Bryant, I have seen just how simple it is to invite others into our own world. And I've done just that. This is Ryan, and I work with Ryan. And when he's out from work, I'm able to spend my time introducing him to my friends and family, bringing him on some of my daily tasks, and doing other things that are fun, just like going bowling or going out for lunch. Ryan has a hidden disability just as I did. And let me tell you, I praise this university so much for hiring workers like Ryan, who works in our athletic center, because he is extremely dedicated and is always ready to do whatever task you put in front of him. Ryan makes me laugh, he makes me smile, and he makes me realize that my worries are so small in the grand scheme of things. But without my urge to give back, I never would have met Ryan. And to me, that's crazy to think about, because he has certainly changed my world too. This year, I have since been awarded the Bryant University Director of Special Olympic Rhode Island Games. I am honored and beyond excited to execute a fun and inclusive day of athletic games for athletes just like Ryan. However, as I reach my senior year, I have found myself spending so much time trying to determine the special mark that I want to leave on this campus. So this year, for the first time ever, myself and partners from Bryant and the Special Olympics Rhode Island organization have teamed up to bring unified sports to our campus, which you can see here has officially and successfully begun. This program aims to simply create unification among those with intellectual disabilities who often feel excluded from our own world. I have such high hopes for the future of unified sports at Bryant, and I truly look forward to its potential. So now in my time working through Special Olympics and in my time working with Ryan, I have seen just how simple it is to invite others into our own worlds. This so easily creates a chain reaction of spreading acts of kindness. When I spend time with Ryan, I am bringing him into my world, and instantly, his world has grown greater and more inclusive. Each of us in this room has the ability to invite others into our own worlds. We can all work together to enhance the experiences of others just by carrying on these small acts of kindness. So, my 2020 vision for the future of my Special Olympics Committee, the Bryant community, and the greater community around us is to simply be okay with being different, and especially to accept those who are different. So I encourage each of you to embrace Bryant's mission of inclusive excellence by being a pure and passionate leader, and by giving back to what's important to you. At the end of the day, when life is over, your grades and your GPA will not define who you were as a person, but what you did for this world will. And it is so true when they say that your friends may forget what you did in this world, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So I encourage and challenge you to reflect upon what you're passionate about and to leave your own mark, no matter how big or small that may be. And as Mother Teresa said, do small things with great love, because it truly spreads like fire. And lastly, let's all come together as one, and let's be unified. Thank you.